Hello, Chris. You're on mute at the moment. Sorry.
Sorry about that. I was talking to myself, I think, then. So I'll just recap. So the congratulations to the Foundation Park who won the EFL Community Award. All the hard work they do over there has been recognised. So well done to them. Cricket Club, they had their end of season event for the last Saturday game last week. So a few of our committee members went over and we sold some tickets on behalf of Darba Rimmer charity. Pleased to say we made £160, and then the Cricket Club very generously upped that to 200. So good amount that's going to the Darba charity from us. The end of season dinner, we still have tickets for that available. So if you want to join us on the 3rd of May, you can join online or come to see us in the Legends Lounge tomorrow night to book then. And just one last thing, next Monday, we have an On the Sofa, and it's Lee Bernard. So that'll be very interesting for that one. Okay, so let's bring Vic on.
Hi, Chris. How are we?
Hi, Vic.
You okay?
I'm good. My laptop's playing up tonight, so...
Okay. Well, I have some SAS travel news, of course. Wimbledon on Saturday, and the last few spaces for Wimbledon are available, and also for Crewe, the final away game of the season, some spaces available for that. And Mark will be in the SAS travel office behind the town end from around about 6 tomorrow night. So if you fancy going to Wimbledon, and we haven't been there actually, it's our first visit there as fans. You might recall we played there. But it was during the COVID season, so we couldn't actually attend the new Plough Lane. So tomorrow night, you can book spaces for Wimbledon and for Crewe as well. And SAS travel will be open from around about 6 o'clock.
Brilliant. And so I'm just going to bring on our special guest for this evening. So I'm going to bring on Mr. Jake Wakelin.
Hello, you all right?
Hi, Jake.
Hiya.
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Right, I'm going to leave you to it. So good. Yeah, good, thank you. So any questions, please leave them in the comments and we'll get through as many as we can. Okay, and speak to you later.
Jake, thanks ever so much for joining us. It's a great pleasure to speak to you. Lots to talk to you about in the 15 minutes or so that we've got available to us. But I really wanted to touch on your career because you didn't just land on this planet as a footballer. By goodness me, you've been through some ups and some downs, haven't you? You must have learned a lot in the last 2 or 3 years as a young man and a footballer.
Yeah, 100%. As you said, football's not, as I've learned, football's not, a straight line. It's up and down. And you have to be, I've learned just to be resilient, always believe in myself. And it all started at West Brom for me as a young, I think I was about 14, all the way up until I was 18 during COVID. And then, as I was telling you before, released on a call like this, like a Zoom call during the middle of COVID. And it was tough to take as a 18, 17-year-old, not know what's going on in the world, and then that's just been stripped away from me being a footballer. That's how I felt at the time, like trying to find out who I was without football, and it was tough. And then after that, I wasn't really motivated myself to get back into football. I was ready to, pack it all up when things started, the restrictions started to ease up. And I had a friend who ran a non-league club, Richard Thorndike, the chairman there, and I played with his son.
That's Old Church, of course.
Yeah, so this is at Alf Church, and I wasn't really motivated. He called me saying, "Come on, come down, come train. You got nothing to lose." And then I was at the other end of the call saying, "Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not really motivated to get back into it. The love's not there anymore for the game." and then eventually persuaded me to go. And you know, the rest is history. Done well there, done really well. Really loved my time there. Learned a lot. My first experience being in a men's changing room rather than being in the change room with my own age. You know, being comfortable with people my own age, and then next thing you know, I'm a young lad in a change room full of men, and yeah, taught me a lot there. I've nothing but good memories there. You know, the manager there was brilliant with me. Probably the first manager to really made me feel a value to a club, and he just gave me that belief, just telling me like, you're a really good player. You know, you got great potential. You can go far in the game, and he was one of the managers who I just believed every word he said to me, and I just wanted to, you know, run through a brick wall for him. And from there to Leicester, and that was a completely different experience. Now I'm back with people my own similar age group, but I'm trying to use my experiences at non-league to have a successful time at Leicester. And this was still in the COVID, you know, the bubbles kind of has the Premier League teams had it, the bubbles, which was, you know, it was difficult because I was doing really well for the youth team. I was scoring a lot of goals. I scored against Tranmere in the Papa John's Trophy, and I thought, you know, I might get a little taste of senior football, like training with them, with the likes of these top Premier League players. Fortunately, that didn't happen that season. The next season happened, and I trained in pre-season with them. I've done well. I scored a few times in a few games for them, and like in-house games. And that was a really good experience with me, just seeing how Premier League players go about their, you know, their days, their training schedules, how they apply themselves, and yeah, it was a really good time for me there. I learned a lot. You know, top coaches were there who I've been training under, Brendan Rodgers. You know, the youth team coaches, and towards the end of last season, you know, we both decided it was best for me to move on. I felt like I needed to get some proper professional men's first team in the league, in the Football League, and I wasn't quite ready, you know, for the step up for Leicester. And we both agreed there was, you know, no bad blood between us. I wasn't upset. It was the right time for me to move on, and that was it. And I didn't really view it as a setback rather than the West Brom one, because I felt like I was just so hungry to, you know, to just play football, especially because during that time I went on loan to Barrow. That didn't work out very well for myself. I only played 3 or 4 times. They were, you know, fighting relegation, and probably the manager I don't think the manager really trusted me, because I was a young lad, no experience at all in a relegation battle. But even though it was a bad experience for myself not playing, I tried to, you know, flip on its head. What did I learn being in that situation, being around, you know, professional players who have made so many appearances, and you know, the standards of training, what I need to be up to. And even, like I said, even it didn't work out for me there, but it just made me more motivated and more hungry to, you know, improve and, you know, play football. And I always knew I was good enough to play football. Always had that belief in myself, regardless of people telling me you're not good enough, you know, I don't think it will work out for you here. It always just drove me on, because I look at other people's stories in the game, like Vardy, for example. I think Chris Smalling's been down there in non-league. A lot of players have been down in non-league.
Well, I might say there's one Charlie Austin, of course, who is an example of that, is he not? And you were connected with him at West Brom, I think, weren't you?
Yeah, the old boot cleaner story. But yeah, a lot of players that came through non-league ranks been told they're not good enough, setback after setback. And it, you know, a lot of them are playing, I think, Premier League football now. Jared Bowen, for example, he was at Hereford, I'm pretty sure. And it only gave me motivation that, right, Barrow, you didn't think I was good enough. Let me move on to the next club and, you know, let me really prove myself as a player.
As a young man, because you're 21 now, and you were 18 when you had that setback during a pretty awful time for many, many people, of course. And you're in your room on your own because, you know, you can't go out with your mates. You can't go down the pub, say, and talk about it to people. How was that? Because, you know, there were many people wrapped up in their own thoughts at that time.
Yeah.
How did you deal with that? Did you deal with it well, do you think? Did it make you stronger? How did you think?
At the time, no, I didn't take it well at all. Like you said, I'm in my room. I've locked myself away from, you know, mum and my dad. And it was just, you know, I just wasn't motivated at all. I really, you know, it was really tough to take because I've been there since I was like 14 and that's all I knew. Football, I was there full time when I was 16, you know, the same faces, you know, training, and how I felt at that time was like who am I beyond football? Like now this has been taken away from me, you know, who am I as a person really? And that's why Alf Church, I can't thank him enough, the chairman especially, because he was the one who really drove me, you know, back into football. I really got my love back for it, and he was one like I truly like believed in every word he said. I believed. He told me I'll get you back into full-time football, and I believed that. And you know, that he really helped me during that, you know, difficult period for me, because I'm seeing, you know, quite a lot of my mates at West Brom signing these pro contract deals, and you know, I'm there like just sitting in my room, just on my phone, just watching it all happen, and I'm just like why can't that be me? But you know, going down to non-league gave me that hunger. Like I want to get back up. I want to, you know, prove these coaches at West Brom like they are wrong. They're wrong about me as a player. You know.
Well, it does you great credit, and you know, many people might have folded under that. So I think you should take a pat on the back and say that's made you a stronger person. I can tell you. And let me read you some of the comments. This is from Tony. What I like, you never stop running, never give up, and help out getting back in defence. Lots of ability, taking on defences, learning all the time. How does Charlie influence you on the pitch? Now, as you know, he's a Swindon legend. You know, he came to us from Poole, never stopped scoring. Scored on his debut at Carlisle, his full debut. How is it? You've got Johnny Williams in the team as well. That sort of experience alongside you, how does that help?
Oh, you can't beat it, especially Charlie Austin. Like myself, I'm an aspiring striker. That's where I want to play, like a number 9. That's where, you know, I want to play in the future. I want to score goals like, you know, he did. You know, I'm not quite up there in my debut season as he was for Swindon. I think it was something like 31 goals did he get in League One.
It was bonkers. I mean, I've said he's the best natural finisher I've ever seen play for the town.
Yeah.
So if you want to have a go at that, then take it away, mate. You can have a go at that. It's incredible. Said, I mean, you must see that in training. How
natural finisher, got everything. He can head it, finish left foot, right foot. I think you saw at even at Rochdale, the finishing on display. It's just like 4 goals. Like I could only ever dream about scoring 4 goals really in the game. You know, it's you know, unheard of really, and nowadays to score 4 goals, and the type of character he is as well. Like it's not just on the pitch; it's off the pitch. Like he's such a good guy, and you know, you just want to, you know, get everything out of him, all the information, all his experiences, and playing with these top players, and like Johnny Williams as well. Exactly the same, not just on the pitch, it's off the pitch as well. You learn more from, and yeah, they're 2 top professionals, and their career speaks for themselves.
Well, this is your first full season. You played 40 games, you got 7 goals, 5 assists. I mean, how tough is a first full season? I mean, you've played lots of, age group football, but as you said, you're playing with men now, different level. How tough is that first full season? Frustrating for you as well, I guess, because you want to score more goals, don't you?
Yeah, it's like you said, I've got to wait up both times. It is frustrating at times. I'm like, I need to score. Like, if I don't score in a game, automatically after the game, like, I've had a bad game there. I've not done anything. But then I've got to wait up on the other end and be happy that I'm playing. Because last season, I played 4 games. Now this season, I've played 40. And, I'm playing games, I'm learning, I'm playing with Johnny Williams, Charlie Austin and everything. I'm playing for a big club, Swindon, playing in front of, 8,000-10,000. It's unbelievable compared to a couple seasons ago at Alvechurch. Again, got lucky if you got 100 people there. And it's frustrating at times for myself. I want to affect games, I want to score, and it's tough on my body as well. I think the most games I've ever played before this season was probably around 17 games, and to play 40, it's a lot of people won't think it, but it's really tough on the body. Well, my body adapting to the physicality of the league, playing against men week in, week out, getting battered in the games, tackled, elbowed, and all sorts of that. And it's learning. I'm learning every game. I'm playing different positions: left wing, right wing, striker, left wing back recently, and it's learning, but it's only going to make me a better player. And like I said to you, next season, hopefully I come back firing, even better player, stronger, fitter, faster, and a better goal scorer, hopefully.
Well, this is from Jojo, great player. Jake has Duracell batteries, puts the shift in. Shame he's got treated the way he did and got let go via Zoom. That's Robin's left. Lucky to have him. Mitch says, no matter what our result is and how disappointed I sometimes feel, you are one player that always gives more than your best. Keep doing what you're doing. You'll go far, Jake. Sean says you'll probably could score 4 in a game if the manager puts you up front. Now, and also, would you like to play much closer to Charlie, like Mays and Rowlands? This is way, way, way before your time. They had a great partnership for Swindon many years back in the 70s and 80s. But how would you? I mean, it's almost an ideal combination, isn't it? Charlie Austin and you alongside him. But how would you see that? Where do you think your best position is?
Personally, I think my best position is, a striker in a 2. I think most of, my goals and assists this season have came in that kind of position. But, it's down to the manager. He picks a team. If he feels like I'm playing out wide, I've got no complaints. I'm not going to, go up to him and be like, I want to play here, I want to play there. That's not the type of character I am. Especially being young as well. I'm learning the game. I can't just demand these things. And, I always try and give 100% in any position I play, whether that's, wing back or winger, striker. That's what that's, my, non-negotiable to myself, give 100%. And, but yeah, that's my ideal position. I've always played there through youth football in non-league, and it's a good experience for me playing in these different positions, because it gives me a different view of the game and more responsibility, probably, rather than in defensive terms, tracking back as a winger. Obviously I didn't do it that well against the other week when I got a red card, but like you said,
I was going to mention that. I mean, that's another experience you put in your book, don't you? I mean,
yeah,
getting sent off so early in a game.
100%.
It's another of life's experiences.
Yeah, obviously when it happened, it's not nice being, the first 30 seconds of a game, but it's just one of them. It was very tough to take, especially me being young. I'm thinking in my head, like, I've just cost us this game here. Really, it was a must-win game for us, and it was tough to take for me at the time in the changing room and whatnot. And then especially I saw the lads concede so late on. It was, I was gutted for them after the shift they all put in. But another learning experience for me. I've got to make sure that doesn't happen again. And it's one of them. There's nothing I can do to change that now. Just try and make it up by scoring goals.
Well, we got a couple more minutes left, and then we'll let you go because I'm not going to push you any further. But you might be involved tomorrow, should we say? Let's leave it. Let's leave it at that. I want to ask you about the Salford goal, which was, hey, where did that come from? We were sort of sat there going, did he mean that? Didn't he mean it? But you say 100%, you meant it. That's fine.
That's it. 100%. I meant that. I completely meant that. It was, I could do that 100 times on the training pitch, and I'll never replicate that again. But it was just one of them. Luckily for me, it's went to the back of the net, and it's probably the best goal I'll score for a while anyway.
Yeah, let's put it like this: if it was an Arsenal player or Man City player who'd scored that, they'd been raving about it for weeks, wouldn't they? So we'll leave it there. So you're now nominated at the Young Player of the Year award in League Two. That's this Sunday at some fancy hotel in London. What a great honour, though, in your first full season as a footballer.
Yeah, exactly that. I would, I'd never expect it, coming into the start of the season. Obviously, my main aim was, establish myself as a starter in this team through, hard work. And, when I got told that I got nominated, I couldn't believe it, really. Like, I was like, take me back a year ago. I was at Barrow, not playing. I was watching the team in the stands, and then, fast forward a year, I'm getting nominated for Young Player of the Season. But yeah, it's a great honour, and hopefully I can, win it.
Just finally, before we let you go, there's a lighter one here. Ask Jake, please, does he always have the dirtiest shorts out of the team at the end of the game? Me and the lady, this is from Michelle asking this, me and the lady who sits in front of me always says he does the things you talk about at a game of football. I suspect that's because you work hard, basically, isn't it? You get down in the dirty stuff and you work hard. It's that simple.
Yeah, I suppose it's a good thing, but a bad thing for obviously the kit men have to wash white shorts. It's not nice for them.
Yeah, and finally, the season as a whole, it's been disappointing, hasn't it? But a lot of you are young players, so I guess all going through the same experience, are you?
Yeah, like you said, it's disappointing. I think we was around fifth start of the year, and it's disappointing for for us players. It's not nice. It hurts when we lose and draw. We should be doing a lot better. And but yeah, it's really tough to take, especially for, I can only speak from my personal experience. It's tough for me to take, because obviously I want to win every game. That's why I came to the club. I want to get promoted with the club. And but yeah, it's tough. It's disappointing for everyone. But all I can say for myself is that, remaining games, I'm going to give 100%. I'm not going to sack it off just because we've got nothing to play for. I'm going to still try my best to, score goals and get 3 points.
Well, you're getting a lot of love tonight, I can tell you. This is from Gavin, my boy, a big fan of yours. He was mascot against Rochdale, walked out with you, keeps calling you after every home game to try and get your shirt. You have to pay for them, by the way, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people should realise that. Tony says, good luck, Jake, for Sunday. What a lovely, humble young man, says Claire. Many young boys aspiring to play really should look up to Jake. What an example. 100% every game. Well done, young man, Daz, St. George. So a lot of comments coming in like that. We'll let you go because I know you've got to prepare for tomorrow. So thank you so much for joining us. And what an incredible career you've had so far. And let's hope you have an incredible career going forward.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Off you go. Go and get some rest.
All right. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
I've got terrible trouble with my laptop at the moment, so I can't put my camera on. But thank you very much, Jake. All the best.
No worries. Bye-bye.
Sunday, and see you soon. Bye-bye. Yeah. All right, Vic.
Yeah, lovely young man. We wish him well.
Very, very. Right. Should we bring the other song?
Yeah, let's get on.
Mark.
Hello.
Hello.
Kev, Anna, and Rob.
Hello.
Evening all.
Okay, I will leave you to it.
Thanks, Chris. Hiding behind some sort of camera fault tonight. So many of us might want to do that, actually, as we go forward. Let's go around. Mark, I mean, you deal with young people. You're a teacher. I mean, my goodness, he had a real kickback, did he not, at a very young age? But he seems to have come through that tremendously.
Yeah, what a nice lad. He came across really well, Vic, didn't he? I thought. And I think if you're a young lad watching that, you'd be inspired by his story, because there he was, having had several knockbacks. It would have been easy just to have given up the ghost, wouldn't it, and say, look, I'm going to pack this football malarkey in. But no, he didn't. He stuck with it. And, you know, that's a really good lesson to lots of young people, isn't it? That he's clearly quite a resilient lad. I don't think any of us here or any Swindon fans would fault him for his effort, because he does put a shift in every game, doesn't he?
He does. And I think that's the point, isn't it, Kev, about him? I mean, you know, his goal return, as he just said, he's frustrating. I mean, I think his last goal was at Leyton Orient, wasn't it, in that 1-1 draw? But you can never fault his effort. And Kev's gone very quiet. Why have you gone quiet, Kev? Yes, you have. We'll come back to you in a minute. Anna, what did you... I mean, that's his point. You can never fault his effort, can you?
Yeah, no, and it was interesting what he said about, you know, playing 40 games this season versus the 4 or so that he played last season, and the impact that would have on a young person's body, because it is a lot of time to be out on the pitch and competing against much older, more experienced players. So, and I guess that had we had more options, he might not have played so many games, and it might have been fresher to start in more forward positions. But yeah, very interesting, and hopefully he'll come good for us in the future.
Are you there, Kev? No, he's not. Rob, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, it seems a disappointing return, because he did very well at the start of the season, didn't he? Got a lot of goals, and then they've dried up. So that's another part of the game, isn't it, that he's got to learn from?
So many learns for a young lad, isn't there? I mean, he did speak extremely well, I thought. And the one thing you always need to take into account when you assess the merits and the demerits of the season, as we're going to over the course of the next few minutes, some of these guys are young lads just making their way in the game. And he's a perfect example of somebody on the way up, hopefully, to a really good, successful career. Or he's learnt this year in more setbacks than positives, I have to say, with most of the things that have gone on during the season so far, will only stand him in good stead. How on earth a 21-year-old in his first season of football copes with getting sent off after 40 seconds, having not touched the ball, I have no idea. He must have been crestfallen that day. That must have been one of the lowest points of his life, I would think. But he spoke really well that he's learned from it, and that's all you can hope for with a young lad.
Yeah, I mean, that to be told on Zoom that you're no longer required by a football club, and then during lockdown, for goodness sake, when you've got no chance to go out and have a go with your mates in the pub or something just to get over it, that must be really tough to take. Andy, your thoughts on what you heard?
A very personable young man, wasn't he? And he's sort of, the way he spoke typified the way he played, really. He always gives 100%. And it has been frustrating for him. You know, he's played in any number of positions, isn't he, for us? With a 2 up there on his own. He's been up against people twice his size at some cases. But, you know, when we look back at the end of the season, which we will say that he will be A+ to us. And it's very encouraging that he's got another 2 years on his contract, and he's only going to get better. And I really got good hopes for him next season, certainly. So, yeah.
Are you with us, Kev? No, he's not. Okay. Kev is very silent. We can't get him at all. So, Mark, let's go through this season then. Here we are. Barrow 0, Swindon 0, Barrow 0. That was as exciting as it sounds. Really, that was the game on Saturday, and I thought there's a lot of talk about this being our worst ever season. So I looked up some of the points that we've gathered over the years. In 73-74, we got 25 points, but that was under 2 points for a season. So I worked it out that if it was under 3 points for a win, we'd have got a massive 32 points. And 30 points, of course, in the Premier Division. We should say, of course, that that's in a much higher league, as was Division 2. We got more points, 43, I think it was, under Sheridan in the relegation season, again in League One. So, I don't know. Where are we at, Mark?
It's been a monumental waste of time, hasn't it, as a season, really? I mean, we finished mid-table when the argument is that we should have built on from last season where we had a successful season, albeit finishing at the final hurdle. We just haven't built on it at all, have we? And I would say that the league itself is one of the most average Division 4s, as we would have called it, Vic, that we've seen in a long time. There isn't a standout team. There are a few decent sides. But if we built on last season, I'm absolutely convinced we'd have been at least in the top 7. Instead, we've prevaricated. We've signed managers late. We've signed players late. We've done everything pretty much we could to be where we are, which is 12th in the table, deservedly so, because we haven't been good enough. So I feel a huge, probably sharing with a lot of Swindon fans, a huge sense of frustration that we just haven't built on what we had last year, which was great foundations. And the danger is if we let things slide further, next season you'll see a mass exodus of Swindon fans and we'll be back to the days of 4,000 and 5,000. So I like what Rob Angus said in the programme on Saturday. I think that's right. But I would say actions speak louder than words. We do need to learn what we've got wrong and we need to work it out, and soon, for people to come back to the football club and to be entertained. Because let's face it, how many times have we left the football ground this season having been entertained? I would say 4. 2 wins against Rochdale and Harrogate, both of whom are in the bottom 3 or 4. The excellent win against Grimsby when Gunning was in charge, and the 3-3 draw against Gillingham. 4 games out of 20. Not good enough, and fans won't accept that next season.
Well, let me read this. Graham says, what announcement hidden in the programme? The message needs to be heard by those not there Saturday, not the ones that were. And we should also say, of course, not everybody buys a programme, do they? This is what Rob Angus had to say. We know we've got things wrong this season and you deserve better than the results we've been delivering. We are listening, though, and will make changes to ensure our recruitment is better. And you have my word that we will put together a budget and a team that's capable of promotion next season with the right balance of experience and youth. We are currently building on strong foundations following the County Ground purchase, coupled with Clem's investment and your fantastic support. I've no doubt this will propel us forward, but please keep backing Jody and the players from now until the end of the season. And then he goes on to say, stick with us and renew your season tickets for next term, as it's your support that will ultimately be crucial in helping us achieve our aims of getting promoted out of League Two and taking this club up the divisions. Anna, what did you make of that? Because he's been very honest, but then I've seen people comment, well, he would say that because he wants to flog season tickets. So what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's true, but we've been crying out for some form of communication like that from the club, acknowledging that mainly that the January transfer window went completely awry. Those were some of the bigger, the most recent mistakes were made, if you like. You could also point to earlier in the season, the close season, but in a way, damned if you do, damned if you don't. We wanted that communication. Yes, they've got to back it up with actions. Words are not sufficient. And we have to go forward and hope that they're going to really enact what they're saying. So, I think at the end of last season, we pulled out this stat about the number of players that were retained and the amount of minutes they played for the previous season, and we were in the bottom 3. My worry is that that's going to be replicated this close season, and that lack of continuity is going to haunt us into next season. So this is why they need to really look at that recruitment policy. They've said about the blend of experience and youth, and Jake Wakeling earlier, didn't he said that he really benefits from playing alongside players and training alongside players like Johnny Williams and Charlie Austin. And that's self-evident, isn't it? Who's going to come in as a 21-year-old with a handful of games under their belt and perform alongside others of the same experience? It's not going to happen. So, really those actions need to be forthcoming, and we need to start seeing, I guess, sooner rather than later. So we're not leaving those signings to the end of July as has happened in previous seasons.
Yeah.
So, good start, I think.
Yeah, this is from Michael. Even though I'm season ticket holder, I'm not going to any more games this season. The last 2 months have been a massive letdown. Hello, Lee. They also need to get our targets in early and not mess around to the start of the season. Mark says it would be good to hear from Sandro. Would mind an apology from him. Well, we have been trying, I have to say. Rob, this is something we talk about on the bus a lot, isn't it? don't mess about this summer. Get it sorted. Get the recruitment sorted. Make sure your manager's in place. Get it sorted, ready for the start of pre-season. That is our big gripe, if you like, isn't it?
Absolutely critical. We wasted close seasons in previous years. We got lucky 2 years ago when we all thought we were going to be struggling last season, but we managed to pick up some real gems towards the end of that transfer window that propelled us forward into a playoff season. I mean, if we just go round the group, you talked about the transfer policy and getting it right in the close season. Mark's talked about the frustration of every Swindon fan this year. Anna's talked about all the things that we need to get right already for next season. The one thing for me that if you just add to that, we play neat and tidy, but totally ineffective football for League Two. That's the biggest and single worst thing that every Swindon fan has been saying around the country this year. The teams are bigger than us. The teams play more direct football than us because it's more effective than the football that we play. You can be the prettiest side in the division, but you have no points to show for it week after week. Frustrates the living daylights out of all of us. We've got to be honest about it. And recruitment policy, yes, get the players in early, but for crying out loud, get some bigger players in because we need to compete at this level. We cannot just rely on lovely, intricate passing, small players who are just going to play neat and tidy football and offer no threat towards the goal. It's coming across, I'm sure. I don't think I've ever been as frustrated as a season as I have been this year. And to have to commentate on that tedium at Tranmere last weekend, seriously, one of the worst games of football I've ever seen. Mark said earlier, this season is average. I'd say it's well below average for most of the teams in this division. It's the worst division I've seen at League Two level. And we're going to finish in the bottom half of it, I'm afraid.
Well, if you look at the form from Christmas, we're in the bottom two. And I think Wimbledon are the other team in the bottom two. So we're looking forward to a cracker on Saturday, aren't we? That should be an absolute belter. Get it sorted early as possible. Get 3 big names with experience, and then we can move on. We need a solid, experienced midfielder and centre-half to complement the young players. I watched the Ken Beamish era in '83, and it's been even worse. Terrible season. Saturday was awful. As for the article in the programme, it's a big sell. I'll go pay each game, I think it says. I will vote with my feet. As for Sandro, get him out, he says. Derek says, hi, Derek. One of the issues that I see is that to get players in, we will need to get players out that are on contract. Add to that who is going to want these players. Duffer Kev, are you back with us?
I don't know, am I? I'll try.
Yes, you are.
Hooray.
Fabulous.
Hooray.
Persistence pays off, just like Jake Wakeling. How about that?
Yeah.
What about this then next season? We've said about it a lot, and we've talked about it a lot in the Legends Lounge. Kev, what are your wishes for next season? What do you want to see happen?
We definitely need another clear out and another a good buy-in summer. But I just want to see a summer where we get players in really quickly, get them fit, have about 6 or 7, maybe even more friendlies, and go into the season really prepared, because the last 2 seasons we haven't. And I think that could be a little bit of the fault of why the seasons have gone, this season especially has gone as it is. I don't know. There's so much damage in there, so much needs repairing that, I would love us to say, yes, we're going to go, going to charge for promotion again next year, but I can't see where they haven't got the money to go out and buy all these decent players. Wrexham will be taking anyone that's any good, without a doubt. To wait until the very last day of the signing window, and we pick up what's left because they're free and they're nobody else wants them. So I'm not optimistic at the moment, but they can change that. The club can change that, because they should make 2 marquee signings right at the beginning, and then that might give people a bit of hope that something's going to change and something's going to happen. But I don't know. I can't see it, but I hope for it.
Andy, what are your thoughts? I mean, I think we're all agreed that Sean says, looking like you were drunk framing that shirt in the background to me, Duffer Kev. And neatly placed above 2 leopard skin bar stools as well, which is an extraordinary thing. Andy, where are you at with this? We've talked about this. We want continuity this summer, don't we? That's desperately called out for, really.
Mm. Whatever we think of Jody Morris's tenure with us, and it hasn't been great, is it? And was it Darryl Clark today got sacked for 7 games? But he was manager of Port Vale, so we won't feel too sorry for him. So Jody Morris is quite. However, I absolutely want Jody Morris in charge for the pre-season, and maybe I'll go against the grain here. I was talking to my friends on Saturday. We were looking at that 11, which was possibly the best 11 that we could put out on Saturday. Most of those players, with other players, like Rob said, with a spine, with some experience and some physicality, most of those players you'd want in your team. People like Sado Khan has been at times very, very good for us, but he has faded. But you look around that, there's some good stuff. So I think with a strong pre-season, with a bit of continuity and bring these people in. Don't forget we've got to replace the best player of the season in a goalkeeper. We've got to get the spine in, and I'm going to try and be positive for next year. I mean, I thought we were automatic promotion prospects this year, so what do I know? But that's as long as we get some continuity and those experienced people. See where we go.
Claire says, I was at the Hartlepool match with their fans as I live up here and couldn't get a away ticket. They said we were by far the best footballing team they had visit, but the inexperience we have doesn't know how to see out matches if we have the lead. Good point, Mark. I mean, killing the game in the last 5 minutes has been a bit of a downfall for us, hasn't it, this season?
Yeah, that is partly down to inexperience and to the young players that we've got. And it's quite interesting, isn't it, that we've taken Charlie Austin off in several games and we've seemed to have lost games as a result, whether it's a direct result of that. Sutton being one example, he got taken off at 1-0 up. We lost 2-1. I think he went off at Hartlepool as well. I think we also need to have a discussion about the manager and about whether he's good enough and about whether he, like Rob was saying, is going to learn from his pretty disastrous run of 2 wins in 14, which places him round about one of the worst managers that Swindon Town Football Club has ever had. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, it's very unfair on Jody Morris because he had to inherit these players. Are we really a 2 wins in 14 team? I don't think so. I question some of his tactics. I question playing Jacob Wakeling, a striker, at left wing back. Joe Tomlinson as one of the 3 as a centre-half. He's not a centre-half, as simple as that. And we've seen some other very questionable tactics. So I think the Swindon fans fall into 2 schools at the moment. One, that give Jody Morris a chance to inherit his own players and, give him a chance in the first certainly 10, 15 games of next season. Or 2, is he actually the right man for this football club? And I'm not sure.
Well, Tyler says, I just need to give Jody to pick his own squad. So there you go.
Is he going to play the right football, though? Like Rob was saying, is he going to play more tippy-tappy with small players again next season? Because I can tell you what, we won't be mid-table. We'll be down towards the bottom of a stronger league next season. And the trapdoor then will fast open for us to go down into the National League.
Well, there's a point here which we were discussing beforehand. And there's been a point in a press conference today where Derek says, have to say that it worries me that JM always bigs up the opposition in his pre-match interviews. Does this filter down to the players and affect their thinking before a game? Well, he's made a comment today about Tommy Adaloy, hasn't he? He doesn't think he's 100% committed to a football club.
Yeah. Imagine me doing that for my students at school. I'm going to call them out.
Tommy's been through his, he got terrible stick after Barrow away. And has come back and the crowd have suddenly turned and sort of chant his name. I mean, is he right to do that or wrong to do that?
Are you asking me that?
Well, yeah. I mean, you.
Yeah, I would say you don't call people out in public. What goes on should go on behind closed doors. If you've got a problem with the player, discuss it with the player in private, but don't call him out and say, you question his loyalty, you question this, that, and the other. As I understand it, Tommy's had a few issues this season. I certainly don't think he should be called out in public by a manager who's won 2 games in 14.
Fair enough. Let's have a look. Is it the manager or is it Jody being told how to play to Sandro's model? Some of his tactics should have brought on subs a lot earlier on Saturday. Should have invested in the team first before investing in the ground and clearing the deck. Get 10,000 each home game, more money for next season. Daz says, well said, Mark. What about you, Anna? I mean, where do you stand on the manager? Let's be honest. You know, we're not impressive, are we? As I said, we're in the bottom two of Division 4 on current form.
Yeah, I mean, there's something true in things that have been said by various people so far. You know, there's the results speak for themselves. The football we're watching speaks for themselves. You can't counter 2 wins in 14 by saying it's been great and there's green shoots appearing, because we can't really see any green shoots. The question whether Morris is the right man for the job, the problem I have with this whole thing is that I want to see continuity as well, because I don't think you build anything long term with continuity. The question for me, or the question for me is actually, was he the right person to appoint in the first place, based on the fact that probably at a hint of success, he's going to be off. And if you look at the history of Swindon Town Football Club, the number of managers that have done the same, that have left us, not been sacked, but have moved on to pastures new without really much of a backward glance, and within a short time of having arrived, that there's a lot of them. And I think we need to look at fundamentally what we're building as a culture at the football club, because I see a lot of attention having been given to the financial side, and that was quite probably paramount importance when Clem came in. I think the focus now needs to be on what sort of culture are we building that's going to, permeate through the ranks and take us forward for the next 5 to 10 years. And I'm living in a bit of dreamland, I think, when I say that, but I want to see some continuity. So whilst my point of view on Morris at the moment is that I would give him some more time with his own players, but there comes a tipping point. I haven't reached that tipping point yet, and I understand other people have. But I want to see something better than we're seeing today. And I also want to see him showing some better man management skills than calling people out, calling individual players out, like as we've just mentioned around Adeloye, because I don't think that's right.
Rob, where do you stand on this? I mean, we've already said it would be nice to have a summer without the drama of a no manager. I mean, the last 2 summers we've not. Well, this summer just gone, we didn't know who the manager was going to be until pre-season, did we? Which is just no good whatsoever, really. And there was dillying and dallying, whatever the state of play. That was the situation. Then, of course, in the January transfer window, it was the same. So, can we afford another pre-season without knowing who the manager is?
No, we can't. We need to get that absolutely nailed down and players signed early, as we've spoken about already. The Jody Morris scenario for me, I'm on record as saying I wanted David Artell. I wanted experienced manager at this level who knew how to play the way out of it. And I think he would have been the right man for the job. Jody Morris has got it. What you want to see now, young manager coming through the ranks, he's learning. But I've seen nothing in these 14 games to tell me he's learning. That's the biggest issue for me. We've talked about his man management skills. We've talked about the formations he's played. We've talked about the players he's played out of position. He may be searching for a result. He may be searching for something to go his way. But every time you listen to him in a press conference, it's not positive news he's giving out to the rest of our supporter base. And that's the problem. We need to bring everybody back together again. We had that unity for a large part of last season, where the goodwill of us being back together again after all the Lee Power era seems to be completely disappearing now, because there's factions appearing all over the place. And we need to bring everybody back on side once again if we're going to move forward together. And at the moment, Jody Morris isn't doing that for me. And personally speaking, if he doesn't pull up his socks in the next few games, then I would sack him before the end of the season.
Just some news about the World Snooker Championship. Its play has been disrupted after protesters have caused disruption at the World Snooker Championship.
What are they protesting about?
They're playing
no idea.
To balls, maybe.
To balls.
I don't know. Interesting that's happened. Nothing changes. It's the same old thing every game, says Adam. Okay then, Kev. What are your thoughts? How are we going to bring people back together? Because, we've been called happy clappers. We've been called too negative. We're either this or we're either that. But what you want is a football club that's unified. How the heck are we going to do that?
I don't think that's down to any of us. We can't. The one thing that will change it is results. A couple of wins, and everybody will be smiling and happy again. So, the next couple of games, I probably would say I'd play a few youngsters that he's got his eye on, or from the squad, or a few squad players if he's not sure what they're going to do next season, or he wants to sort a few out, because I can't see the point in it. Doesn't matter if we win the next few games or we lose the next few games. It's pretty poisonous out there now anyway. Just have a go, have a trial, get ready for next season, prepare for next season. I was all for Jody, but it surprised me that there's been absolutely no bounce. There's nothing has changed. That's the thing that surprised me. I thought I would see tactics change, and they still tapped it around at the back and kept losing it and then losing goals, and nothing's really changed. And that surprises me. That worries me when a new manager comes in. You always expect to see some difference. I don't know. There's a massive difference between being Chelsea's boys team manager with probably the best 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds in the world, then coming to Swindon and going to games like at Barrow. The standard seems to have dropped in the whole league, and the players. I've never seen such poor players. Players can't pass, a couple of meters to each other. So are we accepting the standards? People are saying Saturday, oh, it was a much better performance. Well, not in my eyes, it wasn't. It was it was a little bit better, but it wasn't. It was shocking standards, really, from both teams, and the games we played and lost in the last month. The standard is awful. I watched, I think it was Stevenage, Leyton Orient on telly, and it was just shocking to watch it and to think that they're the top two teams in the league. If we can put a half decent squad together next year that's big and strong, then hopefully we'll be up there in the top six. And I think you'll see people come back, and we'll all have smiles and we'll enjoy it. But nobody likes watching a losing team every week, do they?
No, they don't. And, well, one or two suggestions, of course. Rob says only Wellens in recent years has managed the club rather than just the team. And I think everybody would agree with that whilst he was here, there was a unity because he brought everybody together. And I would defend that statement forever, really. And I think we missed that somehow.
He was lucky, Vic. He had wins.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? The results went for him.
But he did, Kev, when things didn't go his way, he came out and told us what he was going to do about it.
Absolutely. And also, he had that period in the first season, didn't he, where he got into the club.
Yeah.
Let's have a Peter says, Exeter's manager on Plymouth this past Saturday, they totally changed the way they played. They didn't once pass the ball out through the back. They played very direct. They tried to play football that takes the anxiety off the team and puts the defenders under less pressure. And we knew that before the game. They lost 2 in a row and are going for promotion. We were ready for that sort of challenge. Living near Exeter, the word Plymouth is not a good word at this moment in time. But what we want, Andy, I keep banging on about this. Wouldn't it be lovely to think that this time next season we were talking about a unified club, everybody pulling in the right direction? How do we do it? I mean, how do we do that?
Results. Simple. Just, everyone's come, no one really wanted to go on Saturday. If you cast a vote now, how many people would have said they'd have been happy for Saturday to be the last game of the season? We don't want any of these next 5 games. Okay, it's nice to go. Looking forward to going to Wimbledon, new ground, but everyone just wants it to end. So
that's our highlight, isn't it?
Yes, yes, that's absolutely true. So what are you going to learn from coming forward? I mean, some suggestions said, look, let's try some of the youngsters, see what we've got. Then at the same time, there's 8,000, albeit lower than 9,400 previous week. There's 8,000 people still turning up, wanting to be entertained. So I don't know. There's a point that was made earlier. It has been one of the most the lowest standard of football I've seen at this level for many, many years. I was trying to think of times when we really thought a team were good, and I think Orient in the first half at their ground, they were very, very impressive. But I can't honestly say that I've seen, Carlisle adequate, Stockport adequate. I mean, Barrow came on Saturday, and I can't work out, why were they happy with the point? They're 4 points off the playoffs. Do they not want to go up?
Having said that, several saves from Salisbury, and there might have been 2 or 3 up at half time.
They could, but it has been. It has been a season to forget. One of the, not only in terms of results, but it's going to be one of the most. Some of the games we've gone to see has just been turgid, and those people that are fortunate to go to away games, and I use the word fortunate. I've only got to say Colchester. I've only got to say Crawley. I've only got to say Gillingham. And you can see people are, it's like
Tranmere, Andy.
And Tranmere, and shall I throw Walsall in as well? Yeah. So it's been absolute dross.
All right, I'll just throw in then, as we're playing Bradford tomorrow, second half at Bradford. And the following Saturday at Mansfield. Let's just balance it up with those two.
All right, and the following Saturday.
Stockport. Thanks very much for that. Yeah. All right, one or two more comments coming in. I've been saying it for some time now. I really don't think we will win again this season. Just can't see where the win's coming from. That's from Adam. Darren says Swindon Supermarine play better football than the Town. Fact. Harry Williams has over 30 goals this season. He should be in a red shirt. £5, I think, now for Supermarine home games, isn't it, for the remainder of the season? So, get along and support Supermarine. This time next season we'll be first. You heard it first here. I have hope. Crawley will be big. Last game of the season. Put Crawley back in the conference. That is a huge game for Crawley, isn't it? Dave, hi Dave. It's just so boring at the moment. The pre-match chat with friends is more exciting than 3 o'clock. I hope old Defo Kev enjoyed my wheelchair on Saturday. What did you do with his wheelchair then, Kev? You weren't racing around.
Well, if you want, the duffers will be out tomorrow, and you'll see me driving around. You'll see me driving his chair.
He was having great fun with Fabrizio, wasn't he, Dave?
He was, yeah. You were also filming me eating a cheese roll. I hope that isn't included, is it?
You're in it, Vic. Definitely.
Oh dear. Okay. Right, Bradford City then tomorrow, Mark. They're going to come. They're going to come big, aren't they? I've seen reports they're bringing 500, which is extraordinary for a Tuesday night. But that's going to be a toughie tomorrow, a real test, I think.
Yeah, realistically, you can only see one result, can't you? You can see like a 0-3 or something. I'd like to go back. Sorry to keep banging on about Jody Morris, but I'd just like him to perhaps Andrew Hawes tomorrow can ask him, what is your game plan? What are you trying to do in games? Because to me, it seems that we're passing out from the back and often losing the ball, and then passing it very slowly through midfield. That isn't a game plan that's going to win games at any level, let alone League Two. So what's your game plan? What are you trying to do? Can you go a bit longer? Can you get out wide? Can you get out to Hutton and get crosses in? Can you get Charlie in the box rather than being 40 yards behind the play where he's not going to do any good whatsoever? So for me, tomorrow 0-3, probably. I think I'd love to be proved wrong. I'd love to be proved wrong, by the way, that Jody Morris is the right man for this football club, but I'm not convinced.
Yeah, 5 on the bounce would do it, wouldn't it? You'd be thinking. I mean, I'd like to have see us have a go tomorrow. I think that's whatever the result, just have a go. And if you lose having a go, I don't really care, to be honest. Just look at West Ham yesterday. They were 2 down against Arsenal after 10 minutes, and then decided to have a go. Yeah. Got back and drew 2 each.
Teams' faces, yeah. Give it a go. You're right.
Anna, your thoughts on tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, as Mark said, it on face value, it does look like there's only going to be one result, and they are a good team. I know we were kind of bemoaning Jody Morris focusing on that in the pre-match, but they've got one of the top goal scorers. They are surely not going to do a Barrow and come here and play dross. They're surely going to lay out their stall and go for the jugular, because they must look at our results and go, that's 3 points. And right now, sitting here saying, a 0-0 draw at Barrow was a good result in inverted commas. And tomorrow a good result would be not losing 3-0, but maybe losing and giving it a good go. I suppose shows how far we've fallen in a way. And you want some momentum going into that into pre-season or close season, because one, you're not going to attract any decent players if you look like you're going to be a middling team next year. So I think I go into every game with hope. Hopefully it's hopefully we get something tomorrow. We want to just see a bit more excitement, a bit more entertainment, and then giving it a go. But yeah, I can't really realistically see anything other than another defeat, I'm afraid. And yeah, maybe not. Maybe we'll pick up a win before the end of the season, but we damn well need it, don't we?
We certainly do, Rob. What are your thoughts on tomorrow? I mean, as I said, I think Adam makes a good point. Will Charlie start tomorrow? Didn't Morris say after Tranmere that he didn't travel because other people in the club have said he's not capable of starting Saturday and Tuesday? Or did they have a fallout after Mansfield? Bradford, a good team. There's no good team in this league. Worst Division 4 for a very long time. I think we all agree on that. That is an interesting point, isn't it, Rob? Because that was we all arrived at, we were on the way to Tranmere, and we all saw the message that he wasn't in the squad. He didn't travel because apparently he can't play 2 games in 3 days. So he may not have a Charlie Austin tomorrow.
We may not, in which case we have to play a different way to the way we played at Tranmere. And this is for me, there's only one thing I want to see tomorrow night, because the results, as we've mentioned before, now don't matter between now and the end of the season. Of course, we don't want to lose 5 more games. That'd be the last thing in the world we want to do. But I want to be entertained. I want to go to the county ground and feel like I've enjoyed my football again. And it feels like it's such a long time since I said that. I just want to see us have a go. Genuinely want to see us have a go at somebody. And if that means we lose 5-3, I ain't got no problem at all with that tomorrow night. If that's the result tomorrow night, I'll take that now, because I'll have felt like I actually went to a game of football and enjoyed it for the first time in ages. And that's what I really want to do again, because these games of the last few weeks, they really have weighed on me. I have to say, they really do test your patience. And I absolutely get why people are frustrated with it, because even the most loyal of us, we're having our patience tested a bit at the moment. We just want to see something to give us some hope for next season. Give us those green shoots that we can cling to over the summer that makes us think this is what's going to happen next year and it's going to be better. Jacob Wakeling's story earlier on, there's something to grab hold of for next year. Yeah. We're looking for something tangible to be able to move us forward. There's somebody who potentially might really blossom next season. But we know he's got to blossom in the team around him, and we don't have that team at the moment. So we just hope that team goes out tomorrow night with the players that we've got and really gives it a go. Because this is our biggest game left of the season. I don't subscribe to this Crawley last game of the season. Can we send down Scott Lindsay and all the rest of it? That's irrelevant to me. Why are we looking at trying to send a team into the conference as being our biggest game of the season? Sorry, it doesn't work. We've got the biggest team in the league to play tomorrow in terms of a fan base. And that's why we need to go tomorrow and really give it something, to give our supporters something to cheer about.
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Our 2 highlights of the rest of the season are the fact that we're going to a new ground on Saturday and there's a decent chippy at Crewe.
That is the biggest plus for the rest of the season. I'll subscribe to Benny's every day of the week.
Kev?
Well, I'm looking forward to it, but a little bit. But I don't know. We played quite well against Bradford away, didn't we? Second half.
Yeah.
Not very good first half, but great second half. Yeah. So if we can do something, I don't know. I don't really care tomorrow night. I'm going. I'm taking some friends that haven't been for a while. Let's hope it's a good game. That's all. Like you say, if we put 110% and they lose, you can't really moan. You know what I mean? Even under Di Canio, if we lost or drew a game at home, but you knew those guys had put in 110%. They used to do a lap of honour even when they lost, because they run themselves ragged. But we haven't seen nothing like that the last few games. We don't see players come off. I see a player came off, I don't know who it was, but they gave their shirt to somebody, and it was like, it was brand new off a peg. It wasn't, it should be filthy and sweaty and horrible, and they should be holding it with 2 fingers, because it's, we don't seem to, players don't come off. They don't seem to have bust a gut anymore. You know what I mean? The only player that's impressed me in the last couple of games is Tom Brewitt. Brewitt. I thought Saturday he put his head in where it hurt every time. He tried really hard. I thought he got man of the match, which I agreed with. I think he's going to be very busy tomorrow, and he needs another big performance. I don't think we're as good as them, but then from what I've seen, they could turn up and be awful tomorrow night. You know
Yeah,
what I
they're
mean?
inconsistent
we
as well,
could
aren't
get
they?
a win, so
Yeah.
it could go anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Inconsistency, I think, has been Bradford's bywatch for the last few years, hasn't it? And they get massive crowds, etc. And there they are, still stuck in Division 4. Andy, it is Bradford City tomorrow night. It's under the lights. For goodness sake, Alex says, I agree, Rob. We need to go for it. Hopefully, have more than one shot on target, which I think was in the 93rd minute or something. Yeah, something like that on Saturday. 5-1 to Bradford. Goodness me. You just want to have a go, don't you? Just come away from thinking, do you know what? You had a go, you lost, but great. Or you had a go, you won. Fabulous. You know.
Two things for me tomorrow night. One is, will my bum be removed from my seat at any stage? Will I get off my seat? I can't remember too many times this year where we've seen that happen, where we've got excited, where we've got hoarse voices and all that good stuff. And the other thing is, they'll be interested, and this is as much a developmental thing from Jody. We're 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go. Similar situation to Hartlepool. What we do about that would be very interesting, because anyone that was at the Hartlepool was, that's up to Jody. Has a game plan to shut that game down, go in the corners, time waste, whatever, but also put a bit of a spines, put someone in front of the back four and see if we can manage that game out, because that will mean then that he has learned something. I'd like to think that, we're 3-0 up and that we haven't got to worry about something like that. But bums on seats and see how everyone has developed. And and then off to Wimbledon.
Fabulous. Thank you very much indeed. Off to Wimbledon on Saturday, of course. I think it's, if memory serves, 10:30 from the county ground with the coaches.
Yeah.
Is that right, Rob? Yeah. 10:30 from the county ground on Saturday. So don't forget, SAS are open tomorrow night. Last few Wimbledon spaces and very limited Crew spaces as well from around 6 o'clock. Our latest ticket competition, by the way, is closed. Thank you very much, Steve, for all your entries. That will be sorted and done tonight with a bit of luck. And there we are, Chris. Thank you very much. Nice to see you back again. Hello.
I'm back. Yes, I am. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I just want to read this. I just sent Jake Wakeland a thank you message, and he's put, really good to hear all the positive messages in a tough period for the club. This is messages to him. At the tough period of the club at the moment, and only going to give me confidence. Thank you again. So that's thank you to everybody. And I think, as you all said, he's a lovely lad. So he's got his head screwed on. So that's just a thank you for him. So yes, so we will be back.
To be fair, says that, Chris, that says a lot about him, doesn't it? That he's responded in that way. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, it does. So we're back next Monday with Lee Bernard. If we'll see you at Wimbledon if you're going, or Bradford tomorrow night if you're going. Please come and say hello if you're about in the Legends Lounge. And thank you to everybody for your contributions tonight. And we will see you all soon.